got to me. She said we should hook up the boyfriend and boogie. Don't know me, they look on. I'm being the clouds. Pool full of Henny, I drink and I drown.
Hey guys, what's up? It is Sam from Harkey Fishing, and welcome back to another Table Rock Lake Fishing Report. Man, it's September. The tournament year is in season is coming to a wrap. We just got to fish the Friday night year-end championship this last Saturday night. It was a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. tournament, and I wanted to give you a recap of kind of what we did. Ended up with a bag that weighed 18.34 pounds. Nice sack of fish. We ended up getting third place. I want to tell you what we did and how we caught those fish. But first off, let's talk about the lake. The lake it's been warm, weather has, and the lake temperature on our end of the lake has been ranging between 80 and 82 degrees. Last night at our fishing tournament was the first time I've seen 79 degrees even registered, and it was 79.8 degrees. So, you know, the water temperature is creeping down, but man, we're supposed to have some 90-degree days this next week. I don't think it's going to move a whole lot. I think we're pretty much stuck at that 80-degree mark until we get this first big cold front that'll come through. So, you know, lake temperature is sticking around that 80-degree mark. Lake level continues to drop just a few inches, about an inch a day. We're currently sitting at 911.5, which is really quite low for what it usually is this time of year. We've certainly seen lower water levels, but 911.5 is really low. In fact, if you're going out and into some of the backs of these creeks that you haven't been in when the water's been this low, be careful. There are a lot of stick-ups back there. You can go for a little joyride and your boat will leave without you. So, you know, make sure you're wearing your life jackets, make sure you're wearing your kill switches. You know, be safe out there. There's no reason to take any chances, especially at night, which is when I do a lot of my fishing. Headed back to the lake right now. This is Thursday. We've got our Wednesday night tournament championship this Saturday night, and it's a 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. tournament. So we're going to go see what we can do. But as promised, I wanted to let you know a little bit, well, really exactly what we did for the Friday night championship. And you know, to be honest with you guys, like I've told you, I ain't going to lie to you on these things because it doesn't do me any good. We ended up catching the fish exactly how I thought we would. I've been talking about through the summer how there was a great brush pile bite. We've been talking about how they've been kind of leaving those brush piles, and it's hard to find a brush pile that'll work. So we started out the Friday night championship, 7 p.m. It's almost dark. We started that on a transition bank, not really a spot, just a transition bank. And it was where a bluff turned into chunk rock and then into pea gravel. And we focused on the chunk rock side of that. And it wasn't great. We had caught several pretty good fish there in the past week and a half, 2 weeks. In fact, we'd filled the limit there in like 30 minutes on one of the Wednesday night tournaments, and we did really well in that tournament. But those fish are moving, and I mean, every day seems to be different. And so we started there, and we really only had one keeper. Luckily, that keeper weighed about 3.3, and so really the right quality of size fish. Our goal was to catch 15 pounds in that championship, and a 3.3 is how you do that, man. It's going to give you a little bit of leeway even on your 15-pound limit. So got a 3.3 off that bank and was really happy. So after that, our game plan was to start hitting as many brush piles as we could hit and see if we couldn't find a few good-sized fish in them. And we had hit a lot in practice, and that seemed to be my best bite. But out of the 4 nights I'd fished, I found brush pile fish on one night, and we had a 3.5 and a 3 on those practice nights in brush piles. So I knew it wasn't going to be easy. 4 nights, 2 good fish. Knew it wasn't going to be easy. So we started hitting brush piles. We went through 4 brush piles where all we caught was a few short fish, and really sometimes it was just no fish, just nothing happening. And you know, it makes you start doubting right up here, folks. And I'm telling you, the mental game of fishing is a big deal. Makes you start doubting the big ones aren't in there. And so the 5th brush pile we hit, we moved up to a brush pile, and we've talked about this before as well. This brush pile was on kind of a channel swing. So the channel, we were sitting in about 15 feet of water, not very deep, and the brush pile was in about 15 feet of water. About 30 feet past the brush pile, it dropped to 60 feet. And so we started fishing that brush pile, and right off the bat, we got bit. My partner boated, he had already boated that 3.2, 3.3, he boated a 3.5 pounder out of that, and I was stoked. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And both of those fish that he caught came on a 10-inch worm. And so, you know, when I was starting to see the trend, I was throwing a jig quite a bit, the old Chompers jig. And so I switched up and I picked up that big worm while he was messing around back there and putting that little small 3.5 pounder in the live well. I threw out there, and while he was putting that thing in the live well, I caught a 4.5 pounder. So, you know, we were on cloud 9. I mean, you talk about excited. We were excited. So, you know, we have 3 fish in the live wells, only 3 keepers we caught, but a 3.3, a 3.5, and a 4.5. I'm like, holy smokes. And this time has progressed. It wasn't like this was back to back. We started at 7, and I think we put those fish in the boat about 11 o'clock. So, you know, this was a 4-hour progression. We were working these things over pretty good. We wanted to make sure we gave them time because it's a 12-hour tournament. We had lots of time, and man, we were stoked. We had 3 quality fish in there. All we needed was a couple more, and we had a very good limit. So we kept fishing, and we fished about 15 more brush piles and did not put a keeper, one, not even one, in the boat. So we had a total of about 20 different brush piles. You know, our brains are reeling. We're like, well, this brush pile will have them, this brush pile will have them, this brush pile will have them. Positive mental attitude. If you ever listen to G-Man, he's always about that. And so we just know we're going to catch them out of these. But after about the 15th one in a row, after catching those, we start thinking, well, maybe something's changed. So we picked up a spinnerbait, staple this time of year. In the spring and in the fall, they're going to hit a black spinnerbait. Picked up a spinnerbait, and we started running down banks. And the bite changed. We went from getting hardly any bites to getting a lot of bites. And here's the problem with this. We started throwing this spinnerbait, and we started catching 10-inch, 12-inch, 14-inch Kentuckys, you know, an occasional black that was tiny. We're throwing these spinnerbaits right up on the bank and pulling them out to about 10 feet of water. Slow rolling for the most part, trying to just bump brush and rocky banks. And on those banks, we were really focusing on transitions, just like we were talking earlier, trying to look for where the pea gravel turned into chunk rock. And we did catch 2 keepers, and the 2 keepers weighed just right at 2, a little over, maybe 2.1, 2.2. And, you know, adding those all up, we ended up with they had about 15 pounds. And that was our goal. We wanted to catch 15 pounds. But from about 11 o'clock till 5 o'clock, we beat the bank. We'd hit the brush piles when we'd get to them. We'd throw a spinnerbait. We'd throw some top water. We were just begging. All we wanted was one more 3-pounder because we knew that there was be a huge difference in weights going from a 15-pound limit up to a 16-pound limit. So we were trying our best to call those 2 2-pounders out of the live well, and we weren't having much luck at it. So, you know, we fished, and at 5 o'clock we were tired. I mean, just clinging to anything to keep us awake, listening to music, telling jokes, trying our dangest to stay awake. Doug, my partner's falling asleep. Every time I moved locations, he'd fall asleep over in the passenger seat, and I'd wake him up, say, let's fish some more. I had him run the trolling motor for about an hour, and I was sitting in the back seat all nodded off, you know, fishing a worm in these brush piles, just dead sticking it because I was sound asleep. You know, stuff like that is tough to battle through and stay mentally focused. But about 5 o'clock, we decided we'd try one more area that we've had good luck. In fact, last year we caught a 4.5-pounder out of this little, instead of a brush pile, it was a rock pile. So we pulled into this rock pile, and it was super shallow. I mean, usually this thing's sitting in about 10 feet of water. With the lake being so low, it's sitting in about 5 feet of water. And I was like, oh man, there's no way there'll be any fish in here. So, you know, we throw the spinnerbait up in there, and I made 6 or 7 fan casts heading towards it. And we got up there over that rock pile. I pulled this spinnerbait across there, and lo and behold, a fish hits, and I could tell there was a huge difference in what I'd been hooking and what I just hooked into. I said, Doug, this one's big. It's a big one. And so anyhow, Doug gets the net ready. We get the thing in the net. I have no idea what I got. When you're fishing a spinnerbait, your rod's limber. I knew it was a big fish, but I didn't know what it was. Ended up weighing 4.8. So we get rid of a 2-pounder in place of a 4.8. Are you kidding me? I mean, we just gained almost 3 pounds. And so our 15 went to 18. We fished a little. He said, I'll put it in the live well for you. I made one more cast, and a 3-pounder hit it. And so we ended up upgrade another pound. Ended up with 1834 on the scales. Got third place on the year end. We were stoked. We did not expect that. The fishing has been so hard. We did not expect that. So that was an exciting story. I wanted to tell you guys that story so you know exactly kind of how that Friday nighter went down. This last Wednesday night, we fished last night, and it was tough. We went back to some of the same spots through that spinnerbait. Didn't get a bite. Not a bite. Not even one. I mean, we never boated a fish on a spinnerbait. We hit some of those same brush piles. We did get bit, but they were little fish. We ended up with about a 2-2 that bit on that transition bank we were talking about, and then I caught one in a brush pile, and it was a good fish. It was a 3/8, but it was in a brush pile we hadn't even hit in the championship. So all that being said, it is tough fishing. It took 11.5 pounds, I believe it was, might have been 12 pounds to win last night. I think it was 11.5 though. I'm almost positive. 11.6, 11.7 won the Wednesday night tournament last night. Folks, that's tough fishing. A lot of the times it's 14, 15 pounds, and so the fishing is tough. Don't expect to go out and just waylay them. But if you're going out, I mean, those are the two bites that seem to be the best right now. There's definitely some transition banks that are working as well. So, give that a whirl. Throw your big worm, throw your jig, throw your spinnerbait. We did have some topwater by action too, and I'm going right now, and I got a Berkley Chapo in my hand, and I'm going to throw it till I'm tired of throwing it, or till the fish quit biting it. But anyhow, that buzzbait, something like that. I've been catching a few on a horny toad. Throwing a topwater, especially right in those low light hours, starting about 6 o'clock in the evening till about 7:30 when the sun goes down, and also first thing in the morning if you're going in the daytime, early morning, throw that topwater. There's definitely some bites. I've caught several on it. I've not caught any quality yet, but there is a lot of topwater bites, and who doesn't love a topwater bite? But man, thanks for watching. The fishing reports are going to get a little bit less often because our fishing season has more or less ended for tournaments, but I do still plan on trying to put out some informative stuff, how-to videos, try to get some live fish catches, and just talk a little bit about, how-to things, what to do. If you have something you want to see, drop it in the comments. Make sure and hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Channel's doing great. Appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned for more fish catching stuff, how to catch them fish. Take a kid fishing if you haven't. Keep your lines tight. Y'all have a good week. Enjoy Table Rock Lake. See ya.